Thank you once again for joining us wherever you are. We are blessed to have you. And together, I'm Prince Sammy, and with me,
I'm Precious Eresi.
And together, we are the Love Beat. We are glad that you're joining us. And it's amazing today because what we're going to talk about is something very crucial when it comes to a marriage or in a relationship. And we're going to give you the types of rooms in a relationship, because there are two types. And you see, communication is actually there's always a total breakdown of communication if you don't understand the rooms that you are in your relationship. Now see, communication is actually sending and receiving a message. It's sending and receiving a message. Because see, when I send a message to you, I expect you to receive it and give me what? Give me feedback. But you see, in most of people's communication marriages, people are sending messages and they're not receiving it back. There's no feedback. And there are so many reasons why that. Because see, if there is no effective communication, it can lead to separation, divorce, or a lot of so many things that is taking place. Because see, effective communication is actually a cornerstone for any marriage. Now, have you ever asked yourself a question in your communication with your partner? If you are communicating to win or to prove a point? If you see you're communicating to win, to prove a point, you need to check yourself. Why? Because that means there's something is not right. Because see, when you're talking, we don't talk to win a point. We talk to understand each other. But you see, you might not know that why there's a problem is because you are in a certain room in your marriage. See, there are two rooms of communication, of communication. One, there's a room which we call appreciation room. And there's other room we call depreciation room. Take us through appreciation room.
Let me take you through the appreciation room. Appreciation room. It said in-depth and private corridor of our heart.
Yes.
We have those two rooms. Either you have the appreciation room or depreciation room. So I don't know which one you're having it in your heart, but appreciation room is that room where good thought, good things about your spouse is loaded. It's that room where you bring only the good attributes about your spouse, the good attributes about your partner. For example, you have those nice words that you say about your partner, that maybe that my husband is the greatest man I've ever met. Yes. Without him, I cannot live. He meant a world for me. He has
handsome, sick pack.
I'm so proud about him. Or you'll be saying that my wife is the most beautiful lady I've ever met. He has that good heart.
I love the curve. You know, she's kind-hearted. Yeah, true.
Yeah, and those things, most couples do it in the early stage of marriage.
It's true.
And with the time, some couples forget about the appreciation room that they have been in. They forget that sometime I was here in this room. You start moving now to the other room of depreciation because of the big dreams that you have for your family or yourself. You forgot that I made a vow sometime to be happy with this person, you forget that that I'm supposed to build our marriage together. You forget that this is the man that has made me to be this level that I am right now. So you start visiting depreciation room because now you're no longer communicating well. You may be working somewhere and your spouse is also working somewhere. Your connection is no longer like the way you first met. And you start visiting more of depreciation room. You start talking about negative about your spouse, and yet before you spoke only good things about him. So the next room that is in our heart, we have depreciation room.
Actually, it is true, because see, like Precious said, that in early marriages, life is good, things are moving as planned. You know, there is always somebody comes back from work, give them a kiss, a hug. I mean, it's sweet, love is sweet. And as time goes by, those words keeps on disappearing one by one, because of some frustration, maybe because of something which is not right, or you never knew your husband or your wife was doing something now you have discovered, and that angered you. They are not changing. That's when now you go and start visiting the other depreciation room, where everything about your spouse is negative, blame game. You are useless. He's useless man. How did I even marry this one? What was I thinking about? You are just all those negativity. You see, I don't think even whether I was right thinking about marriage. I think before I said I was just joking around. If I could take back the days, everything you say about this person is because it is out of frustration, anger, you know, because the person making the same mistake over and over. Now you see, the issue is you have actually forgotten something. First of all, you've forgotten your vow you made. Second, you've forgotten that you're supposed to carry along your room, the other room you had, to where you are right now. You left it behind you. You know, down the road 4 years, 5 years, you left the room somewhere. If you shifted, if you sleeping in Zambia, now you shifted to Namongo, instead of going to a room, you left it there. You see that? What am I saying is, in the room, it's where, in that room actually, it's where we call it separation, divorce, and even killing are plotted. Every evil thing is plotted in that room. So my question is, why are you in that room? Why are you staying in that room? Why don't you realize that you need to spend more time in that room of appreciation? Appreciate your wife, appreciate your husband. It doesn't matter what he has done. Come back and say, and you know what, I am sorry. We can fix this up, you know. Talk to them. But all of you are in your rooms. One goes to the other corner, this one also goes to this corner. Your children are now in the middle, they have nothing. Now, because of this, you realize that there's a problem which is between you. There's a breakage of what? Of communication in between you. That's why some of you are going to the same room. And you realize that because of this, that breakage has created a big hole. Now, let me take you through. One of the common breakage that leads into such people running to the depreciation is one. You're having an issue. We want to sit down and talk about it. But because no one is willing to listen. Nobody is willing to listen to each other. I am talking, you're also talking from the other side. After we are all working, earning money, and what we have degrees, what do we expect? Why should I listen to you? So because of lack of not listening, you cannot listen to your spouse. You won't tell you something, you're also bringing your own issues. So until you learn to listen to each other, then you're going to help each other to build every mistake that you create. And you start visiting the appreciation room because you start accepting, okay, I know it was my mistake. We are sorry about it. please, we shall resolve it. Number 2.
Think before you act.
Yes.
Before you speak on top of your voice, before you shout to your spouse, first think and listen to what he or she is going to tell you, because you never know she's telling you the right thing or is telling you the right thing, but because of anger or because of that depreciation room that you've been in so much, you now don't want to listen and don't want to know what he's going to tell you. So you start by talking too much without thinking, without letting him or her to explain. So learn to first think before you talk. Gather yourself together. Maybe first move away and sit for some time, then you come and speak. You say, Annie, you were talking to me, but I was in bad mood. So you come and listen to what they're telling you.
Actually, see, the next that I want to share with you is called non-verbal communication. Normally, this is normally done by most ladies. Non-verbal can actually be done by anyone. I am talking to you, there's an issue you want to solve. And I'm talking to you, right? But you're communicating to me that you're listening, but you're not paying attention to it. For example, I tell you, see what I mean? I'm thinking we need to look at this thing in the other angle, because the way things are moving, you know, you cannot what? It will not be. Now, for example, I am talking and you are in your phone. You are said you are on WhatsApp. So I'm now talking. I'm listening. Remember, you're talking. Huh? Now you talk. You're talking now. You are not talking. Yeah. So you mean you are okay? So you are saying you have not listened to me. Your communication, verbal, is not showing any interest listening to me, because you're focusing on something else. You see that? Now, because of that, people fail to understand that they need to communicate both while talking, meanwhile also non-verbal. That's why anger comes in, and the next thing you'll hear is, you are useless. See, I'm telling you, you don't listen. Where are you now? You have gone back to where? To the room. To the other room already, the depreciation room, because you have seen, I told you I married this one. She doesn't listen to me. Why? Because of the breakdown that you have in communication. And the next one, blame game.
Blame game. Keeping on blaming your spouse that you are the one who did this. It's not me who did it, it's you. You should sit together and understand, instead of blaming that this thing was not supposed to be like this. If it was not because of you, we would have done it right way. You're one, you're now one, and everything that you're doing, you have to do it as one.
Yes.
You don't blame the other person. Maybe that, for example, maybe you are going somewhere, you told your spouse that, Annie, let's use this route, and for him he said that, that route is bad, let us use this other one. You reach there, maybe you get stuck in the mud, you start blaming. But Annie, I told you that we use the other route, you insisted. Don't go for, just get a solution together on how to come out of that mud, rather than blaming your partner. The next one
actually fits well. Always visiting your past. You know, in communication, when you're communicating to your partner about something, avoid always going back to your past. For example, you're having an issue you're solving, and from nowhere you said, you see, This is the same thing you did in 2010. You know, you don't change. I tried counseling. This woman cannot change anywhere. I think I'm just cursed. So you're always going back. If she tells you, see, it was a mistake, say, no, you remember there's something you did. There's something you did. So you are always referring back to what she did in the past. Now that will drain you. It will drain your marriage. It's going to drain everything you have, everything you've built, because the devil always is in the past. The present is Christ. If you want to move with your spouse for a bright future, focus on Christ, which is the future. But if you look back and focus behind all the time, he'll be there to remind you, remember about the thing you did. That's why the devil is always there to remind us of our past. When he does that, remind the devil that, you know what, we have a forward. That's why even in your marriage vow, you said, from this day forward. You never said backward. So stop going to the past. Stop reminding your spouse about what you did in the past. That's a bad communication strategy. And the next, king, be understood than to understand. I mean, it's simple logic, because people always want to first speak like, I have this thing is pressing me. Let me go and give it to her, right? Because I don't think she understands me properly. So instead of us listening to your spouse, you want her or him to first understand you. At the end of the day, you will not achieve what you're looking for, because you're imposing your understanding on the person. Why don't you first let her speak? Let him speak. Say, what are you saying? She will tell you, see, I was looking at this in this angle, and this is what you are thinking. Now, if you realize that when she speaks, the next thing it will come to your mind and say, you'll be like, hey buddy, you are right. You know, be the first person to listen. The person you say, now you speak, I want to listen. And that's why the last one.
The last one, stop degrading your spouse. It is very bad to degrade your spouse, and it is bad because if you degrade your spouse, your marriage will not move forward. You will not build that marriage together, because all the time you know about only negative things about your spouse. Speak the good thing about your husband. Speak that good thing about your wife. What you've been speaking when you met her or met him before. It's the same thing that continue speaking. Don't look at the negative part and you keep on dwelling on the negative things that he or she has done. Tell your friends that my husband is a superhero. My husband is the most hardworking man I've ever seen. You tell good things about them. You tell good things about your wife. That you'll build your marriage, and you'll never visit the depreciation room, because your wife knows that if for my husband only say good things about me, and your husband also know that my wife knows only good things about me and talk good about me. So let's always stay more in appreciation room than to keep on visiting depreciation room all the time. We can handle this as couple. You can sit down and talk about it. You can sit down and discuss this with your counselor or with that somebody that you trust so much that can help you to get out of the depreciation room. So let us always appreciate our partner, appreciate what God has given us, and we spend most of our time in the appreciation room than depreciation.
Actually, in summary, there is one thing that people need to understand, and this is actually, let me summarize this. People always say silent treatment is the best when there's a problem, but let me tell you, For me, that's actually the deadliest thing that you can have. You could be going through a problem of communication breakdown in your marriage, and you're like, let me just walk away. Let me choose to be silent and walk away. It's good you could be, it's a perfect thing you can do. But before you think about that, remember, silent treatment is okay, but it is just temporary. Maybe you walk away because you are angry with that person, and now that you have calmed down, go back and say, you know what, I am sorry for what I've done, let's talk about this. Don't walk away from that trouble and so to hell with this, let me just keep quiet. What you're doing is you're postponing the same problem, and it will pile and pile. By the time you enter the room of a depreciation, it is up to the roof. And I can tell you, when you come out from it, you're choking, and the words are going to come out. The useless word will come out. The wishes, the bad wishes will come out. Remember, marriage is actually built by two people. And that's why the Bible says we are supposed to cherish each other, love. I mean, God gave us that. We're supposed to imitate God in our marriage. So in your communication, always focus on cherishing somebody. Focus on appreciating somebody. Be always in appreciation room, because depreciation is where the love for your spouse is devalued. It has no meaning. But in appreciation room is a place where the love for your spouse is grown, builds up, is encouraged, is stronger, and that's where love always wins. So when we come together, everything in love, when you do it in love, and you always appreciate your spouse, and you're always valuing them, I can tell you, you'll never have any problem with any communication with your spouse. From us to you, always don't forget to check on our YouTube page, visit our Facebook page, and from us to you, stay blessed and stay in love.